Hey all, welcome back. This is a little share. It's actually an extraction from the longer format of the live Q&A recently. And I thought this question and answer might be generally helpful for some people. I'll try to have it kind of defined in the title so that you're only clicking on it if it's something that will be useful to you in your claim or your post-claim activity with the SSA with regard to either Social Security disability, SSI dependent benefits, or retirement benefits, or anything else that could touch on the Social Security world that we all swim in right now. So I hope it helps, and I will talk to you later. If you ever want to be there live, that would be Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have the usually about 2 hours Q&A session, so anybody can ask their Social Security questions if they so desire. Okay, I will see you then. Bye, guys.
Hi, Rito. How are you? I had my hearing in January. At the end, the vocational expert said he could do these 3 jobs I could do. Well, he was saying a hypothetical person can do, Rito, because remember, he's not talking about you. He's talking about the hypothetical person that the judge put in front of him, which may or may not be you. So the VE said that you could do those 3, that the hypothetical person could do those jobs, but on cross-examination, the VE said, no, I would not be employable and I was still denied. Okay, so let's go back to what it is. The VE is not talking about the claimant. So when you're in front of a vocational expert, when you're at your hearing with the judge, and the judge asks the vocational expert questions, if you listen carefully, he asks about a hypothetical individual who is the same age, education, and experience as you. Not you. That's just someone with the same age, education, and experience as you. Not your medical, hasn't been put in there, and your functional limitations. Then the judge adds limitations. He'll give an RFC of whether the hypothetical person limited to light work, Mr. Vocational Expert. And perhaps he'll say, has to sit 4 out of the 8 hours instead of 2 out of the 8 hours, Mr. Vocational Expert. Would there be any jobs that person can do? That's not necessarily you, because you clearly not you, because there would be jobs that person could do. And you are asserting that you have other functional limitations besides the ones just presented, because there's plenty of jobs a person who can do quasi light work can do. Maybe you have finger impairments that mean you can't use them frequently, and the jobs that the vocational expert listed could be done by someone with recognized frequent limitations that bring you from constant to frequent with fingering or handling. I'm just throwing that out there. But so when you listen to the audio, and I don't know if you can get a copy of the audio, your attorney can though, or your non-attorney rep, if he's, practices enough to be registered to be able to obtain that information. The judge put out hypotheticals to the VE. They are not you until he assigns one of those hypotheticals to you later when he's making the decision. He has to find that, generally speaking, most of the time, he's going to match you to one of those hypotheticals. And then matching you to the hypothetical he gave a VE, what was the VE's response? Can that hypothetical person that you now equal for purposes of a hearing, can that hypothetical person do a job? If so, you could do that job. And that's what happened. And usually the way it works out, and this is how denials happen when there's a VE and an ALJ. The ALJ did not provide an RFC with the level of limitation that you believe or your attorney believes you have, and that is supported by, hopefully, by the medical record. So if the judge left out a pertinent limitation that stems from a diagnosed impairment and he didn't include it in the RFC, that can be an appealable issue. It's unfortunate that you now have to go and appeal and do this, but that's kind of how it works. So when I see a hypothetical and there are jobs available, and usually there's more than one hypothetical, but if there isn't, I myself would be cross-examining on a second hypothetical, usually the first one, and then I add in all the things that I know exist and that I could point to in the record if I have to, that the person has. Like let's say the judge doesn't include any hand impairments or hand limitations, which means you can use your hands constantly. If that wasn't included in the hypothetical, and I know I can point to evidence of that, I may ask that. There's a few ways to ask it, but the vocational expert, hey, Mr. Vocational Expert, for those 3 jobs you mentioned for the hypothetical that the judge gave you, hypothetical number 1, and I've taken notes while they were, I'm always scratching notes about what the hypotheticals, so I know what they were and which ones they were. I would then be saying, do those, what level of fingering and handling do each of those 3 jobs you mentioned require? And then if he says frequent, or constant, and then I might throw out there, so if a person is limited to 2 or 3 hours of fingering a day, but can't do more than that due to medical impairments, would those jobs be unavailable to that person? In which case he has no choice but to say, yes, they'd be unavailable to that person. That does not mean I win the case. It just means I put something out there for consideration, because the judge can still find that my guy is not limited to only occasional finger use, which is like 2.5 to 3 hours out of an 8-hour workday, and that he could do something more. I do see them very often acknowledging a finger impairment, let's say through general arthritis or something, but saying the person is limited to frequent. Oh yeah, he's limited. He's limited to frequent. Frequent is a lot. That's like 6 out of 8 hours or something like that. 5.5 to 6 hours. I think it's kind of a ploy. It's kind of a practice that's very pervasive. When they need to deny, but they have to acknowledge the finger impairment, they may say it's there. He can't do constant, but he can do frequent, because so many of even those jobs where you need hands, you don't need them constantly. You need them frequently, and that's how they shoot those people down. So we just try to argue that you have to put out the argument, to rebut it, and then sometimes it can be used later on appeal, particularly if the medical evidence shows extreme arthritis of the fingers, constant complaints about the fingers, and that's when a person's not even working, so they're probably not even using their at-home kind of genteel activities. Something to be said for it. It could work on an appeal, for instance, one way or another, whether it's expressly or not. It's now kind of part of the record.
So you just saw a little clip from one of our live Q&As. It might leave you more questions, particularly if you had a little piece of that applied to you and some more facts that would make things different. If you do, feel free to put a comment down below about the extra details, and we could maybe even make a video on the particular aspects of that you'd be interested in. So in any event, I hope to see you on Wednesdays, 1:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also 9:00 a.m. every day, we have a share from the field, so to speak, of things that happen in our workday. So hope to see you then, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.